If you've looked at Shenhe's elemental skill, you might be wondering how the bonus damage she gives to your other cryo members works. So in this video we'll go over how to calculate that, and we'll also go over 2 examples. If you just want to know how to maximize that bonus damage, all you need to do is just build as much attack as possible on Shenhe, and on your other cryo characters you want to build as much crit, as much bonus damage percent, and if you're playing Melt, as much EM as possible. Which sounds obvious, but the main point is you don't need to build as much attack on them. Finally, before we start, the way her skill works is very similar to how Zhongli's Ascension 4 passive works. So if you understand how those kind of skills work, you probably understand how Shenhe's skill works. Now, let's start. So first, you will need 5 numbers to calculate this. The first number will be Shenhe's current attack. And Shenhe's skills do not snapshot, so it really is her current attack. You'll also need Shenhe's talent multiplier, and this will be her bonus damage in the elemental skill. You will also need the other cryo member's current attack, or snapshotted attack if they are using a skill that snapshots. And you need the talent multiplier of that other cryo member's attack. And then the last number you need is the damage that the other cryo attack does without Shenhe's bonus. And this damage could be crit damage, melt damage, doesn't matter. Whatever the damage is, that's fine. Once you have all these numbers, the equation that you will need is at the bottom here. It's the first number, Shenhe's current attack, times the multiplier, plus the other cryo member's attack times multiplier, divided by the other cryo member's attack times multiplier, and all of that multiplied by the damage of the cryo attack. Once you have the new damage, you can find Shenhe's damage contribution by taking the new damage and subtracting the old damage. What's interesting is that Shenhe's damage contribution will stay the same regardless of what attack you use with the other character, as long as everything stays the same about the other character, which is to say, they have the same stats, they're getting the same buffs and debuffs, they're attacking the same enemy, and their attack is either critting or not critting, and it's the same as before, and it's either melting or not melting, and it's the same as before. And we'll go over a couple examples so you can see what I mean here. Alright, the first example we're going to do is going to use the Shenhe from the trial stage. So if you want, you can go ahead and do this for yourself, confirm all the numbers yourself. The first number we need is Shenhe's current attack, and because Shenhe has the Calamity Queller in the trial stage, we're going to need to wait 6 seconds after someone else switches in so that she can get max stacks. Once we do get her to max stacks, we can see that her attack is 3346. Next, we need Shenhe's bonus damage multiplier from her elemental skill talent, and it is 73%. Next, we need Kaeya's attack, which is 1387. And next, we need Kaeya's talent multiplier. And for this example, we're going to use his elemental skill, so it is 3.06. Finally, we need Kaeya's unbuffed damage. So in this case, we're going to use his elemental skill, and it will both crit and melt, and this is 10,608 damage. Now we'll plug all these numbers into the equation, and we'll get the new damage buffed by Shenhe should be 16,712. And if we take a look in game, we'll see that it's actually 16,717, and this is because the numbers that the game tells us for the attack and talents aren't exact. There's a little bit of rounding. Nothing we can do about that. If we take the damage that we ended up with and the damage that we originally had, we'll see that Shenhe's damage contribution is 6,109. Now, what I was saying before is that Shenhe's damage contribution will remain constant as long as everything else remains the same. So on the left here, I have Kaeya's Burst doing a melt crit, and on the right, I have Kaeya's Burst doing a melt crit while buffed by Shenhe, and you can see that the damage is still 6,109. So you only need to calculate this number once for whatever you're looking for, and that number will stay consistent across all the types of damage that you're doing. In addition to the bonus damage from her elemental skill, Shenhe also provides extra bonus damage due to her Ascension 4 passive and her burst giving cryo resistance shred. I avoided using either of those in this example, so we can keep the numbers simple, but if you do use these, then your numbers will be higher in a practical setting. In this example, if I used Shenhe's Ascension 4 passive with Kaeya's skill, we would actually end up with a little bit higher number here. In general, you should expect the Ascension 4 passive to increase your total damage by around 7 to 10%. So, now let's go over an example. And the example we'll use is a pretty well invested Shenhe, I would say, and it will be boosting the bloom damage of a Melt Ganyu charge shot. So the Shenhe we're using in this example will be level 90, so she'll have 304 base attack with 28.8 bonus attack from her Ascension. She will be using a Refined 1 Calamity Queller, so that's 741 base attack, 16.5 bonus attack from the substat, and 38.4% bonus attack from her passive at max stacks. Keep in mind that this example is using a 5-star weapon, so if you are not going to use that, you'll have to calculate this yourself for something else. But this is her signature weapon, so we'll just use that for now. The artifact set we'll be using will be 2-piece Gladiator, 2-piece Shimenawa, and we'll be using attack percent on Sands, Goblet, and Circlet. The feather will be level 20, so 311 flat attack from the feather, and we're going to estimate that she'll get another 20% attack bonus from substats. And if you're heavily investing in artifacts, you'll probably have more than 20%, so this is just an estimate. All that together gives you 195.8% bonus attack plus 311 flat attack. And then we'll also be assuming that she'll be getting another 20% from Noblesse 4-piece effect. We will not be adding Bennett to her attack because she will be off the field most of the time. And this Bennett attack will not snapshot to Shenhe because, again, Shenhe does not snapshot. So altogether, we're looking at 3,440 attack on Shenhe. That is the first of the 5 numbers that we need, 3,440. The next number we need is Shenhe's talent multiplier, and at talent level 10, the bonus damage multiplier is 0.8218. Now we'll go to calculate the numbers for my Ganyu, and the first number that we'll get is the damage from the bloom. Here it is 119374. Next we see her attack, it is 3291 right now, and the talent multiplier is 3.92. So if we take all those numbers and plug them into the equation from before, we get 145,000 damage. In this example, Shenhe's skill damage contribution is 22% of Ganyu's bloom damage, around 26k, and keep in mind that when Shenhe uses her hold skill, you can get the bonus damage 7 times. Now, this applies for all cryo damage, so if you do the bloom with Ganyu and hit 7 targets, it'll use up all that damage at once. If you hit 1 target with both Ganyu's bloom and the charge shot itself, that'll use up 2 charges. And please note that Shenhe, in addition to this, also provides bonus damage and cryo red shred. So in practice, she can boost damage even higher than in this example. The bonus damage percent, the amount that it increases your damage by will depend on how much bonus damage you're running already, but in general you can expect a 7 to 10% additional increase in your total damage. And the red shred comes from her using her ultimate. In a melt team, you might not want to use her ultimate because it might steal melts, but in a freeze team you can expect that to provide a significant increase as well. If we use my Ganyu, for example, the bonus damage percent would boost my damage to around 157k on the bloom. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this content, please consider subscribing, it would mean a lot. And now if you'll excuse me, I am off to go enjoy the 2.4 patch. See you next time.